comes into a relationship with a woman and says, I'm going to be a provider, I'm going to be all those things that we usually say, and at some point you want to start slacking, but there's somebody else that can hold you and say, well, boy, you said you were going to provide for me, what's going on? Right. So we all need that, because destiny will not fulfill itself. Destiny requires a level of discipline, a level of accountability, a level of intentionality, and that's why we must have intentional relationships. But for the person who understands that there is a purpose to their existence and is intent on giving expression to that purpose, I think such a person needs to come to terms with the fact that in the original design of man is relationships. That some people are not intent on living life purposefully, right? So if you are intent on living life purposefully, that person that is not intent on living life purposefully is not a like-minded being. You're not going in the same direction, right? Amos 3:3 would say that two cannot work together except they be in agreement. But a time comes when you have to be intentional about choosing who you walk with and how you walk with them, and so on and so forth.
But I know that the law of the magnet, if there's anything like that, but I'm not a science student. But the law of the magnet states that opposites attract. And you talked about working with like-minded beings.
Yeah.
So how do we place this ideologies? I mean, the law of the magnet, opposite attracts, and in relationship and destiny, you must work with like-minded beings.
Yeah, the first thing is that human beings are not magnets.
Hey friends, welcome to DPV Podcast. This is that podcast where, by the grace of God, you are going to hear destiny-provoking conversations. And I mean conversations that will shift you from where you are to where you are supposed to be. So I want to welcome you this very wonderful morning again. I want you to do this for me. Number one, and when you you are going to help the algorithm get this material to as many people as possible. Then second of all, I want you to please comment, let me know your opinion concerning the things that are discussed here. And third of all, I want you to please subscribe. My guest with me in the studio is somebody who's so dear to me, like I would usually say. Now, this is my pastor. This is the one who shepherds me. And, I've been so blessed by him over the months. And it's such a privilege to have him with me in the studio, especially on this podcast. Pastor Victor Nwaoha, thank you so much, sir, for coming around.
Thank you for having me. It's a privilege to be here. I do not take it for granted at all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Pastor is dripping. All right. The subject that is before us this morning is that which confuses people. We have quite a number of, it sounds of course simple. We have quite a number of people who are at crossroads as to who they are supposed to do life with.
Okay.
Now my first question is, for somebody who is hungry to walk in destiny or manifest destiny, what advice would you give them as it relates with relationships?
For someone who is hungry, so the assumption is that the person is intent on giving expression to destiny, right? Because not everyone is intent. People live life, like we say in local parlance, anywhere belief is. Just as the wind is blowing, you just go with it, just go with the flow. And but for the person who understands that there is a purpose to their existence and is intent on giving expression to that purpose, I think such a person needs to come to terms with the fact that in the original design of man is relationships. Like man is designed to be relational because we come out of a relational God. We see that community or the unity within the community of the Godhead. I'm assuming that whoever is listening to this podcast maybe has heard about the Trinity at some point in time. You see that unity there between the persons of the Godhead, and we came out of that. In fact, beyond the person of the Godhead, we have the angelic beings and all of there was already a relationship, or there was already relating before man was made. And it is out of that mode that we were created. And then God shows up on the scene and says it's not good for man to be alone. Of course, it was not that he just thought that it was not good for man to be alone, but more or less bringing us again to the place of understanding
the importance of
relatability and relating with like-minded beings, because there were other beings upon the earth. There were creatures, there were animals, and so on and so forth. And God brought all those animals to see what Adam was going to call them. But amongst all of them, He found none that was suitable for Him. And then God created, the woman, and out of that, generations have come forth. Just all of that just goes to show the importance of relationships in the fulfillment of our original design, which is what destiny really is, right? That which we are destined for, destined to be. So relationships are very pivotal, very intricate to fulfilling destiny. There's kind of like no other way around it. You need people. We all need people to be who we have been called to be.
You talked about like-minded beings.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Okay, so like I said when I first started, some people are not intent on living life purposefully, right? So if you are intent on living life purposefully, that person that is not intent on living life purposefully is not a like-minded being. You're not going in the same direction, right? Amos 3:3 would say that two cannot work together except they be in agreement. So that agreement is not even one of wearing, like we say in this part of the world, anko. It's not. We are not wearing the same clothes.
Right.
That's not where the agreement is. Agreement is more in the heart. It's more in alignment with vision, like vision alignment. We are headed in the same direction. We are seeing the same things. We are talking the same things. And so that's what I mean by like-minded beings. Because for Adam, the animals were not like-minded beings
with the man,
right? The purpose of the man, or for the man, was much different from that of the animals. For the man, it was supposed to subdue the earth, replenish, and there was nobody or no creature that was on that journey with him. So God created the woman to be on that journey with him. And so a like-minded being would definitely be somebody that is on the same path, the same frequency, the same kind of like alignment with you part-time. Because I think that's also another thing where destiny is concerned. Destiny is in phases and in seasons, right? So the person you might be relating with in this season might not be the person you're relating with in another season. Of course, for some people, it's for life. For example, your partner, the person you're married to. You cannot enter another season and feel like, oh, I'm in another season of my life. That means I need another wife. No, some relationships are the nature of that relationship is covenantal, if there's a word like that. It's based on covenant. It's like we're going nowhere. But some of the relationships are based on other things like maybe career, maybe academic, a shared passion, right. Those are not necessarily covenants per se, but the covenant relationship is one that is supposed to last for the entirety of that covenant, as long as the covenant remains in place.
So we're still going to talk about covenant relationships, but I know that the law of the magnet, if there's anything like that, but I'm not a science student. But the law of the magnet states that opposites attract. And you talked about working with like-minded beings.
Yeah. So
how do we place these ideologies? I mean, the law of the magnet, opposite attracts, and in relationship and destiny, you must work with like-minded beings.
The first thing, that human beings are not magnets.
Woo!
We're not magnets, so we do not necessarily operate by the same laws that magnets operate by. There's a law of magnetism that is different from that of human beings. However, no two human beings are alike.
Right.
So in a sense, opposites do attract. Because as alike as we are not alike. We're not the same.
Yes, sir.
So there are things that you have that are somewhat different from what I have. So maybe the wise thing to look out for, as opposed to being opposite, is difference. Difference is not always a bad thing, right? The spice is in the difference. The eye is not the nose is not the mouth, and so on and so forth. We are different in that kind of regard,
with different useful functions.
So when we bring our differences together, it makes for a more holistic picture, right? So I think when it comes to human beings, maybe what we need to focus on is our differences and how much our differences complement each other, as opposed to whether or not we are opposites. Because again, we are not magnets, and you cannot necessarily be with somebody who is diametrically opposed or in an opposite position from you, right? So you want to go to the moon, the person wants to go to Mars. It can't work. That's what we mean by opposites, right? So for human beings, I don't know if we need to apply the law of magnets. We just need to. But the point you're trying to bring out of that, which I think is, is understanding differences, right, and applying wisdom to bring those differences together to have a more holistic and fruitful relationship.
What kind of relationships are beneficial to my destiny?
To your destiny?
Yes. Or to anybody that's listening to us outside.
Okay, so let's generalize it, because I want to say I don't know where your destiny is.
Of course, I'm just trying to play the mouthpiece of everybody right there.
So your destiny, that was between you and God. But so to be honest, to be frank, I cannot answer that question for everybody. I cannot answer the questions that have been the question, what kind of relationships are beneficial to my destiny, because your destiny is unique, right? But what I can say is that you would know the kind of relationships that are beneficial to your destiny when you know what your destiny is, right? So purpose precedes associations, or purpose more or less curates associations. And understanding your purpose and identity and where I'm headed in life is what now begins to give me the necessary parameters in choosing beneficial relationships. Because you see, as a young person just going through life, there's a stage in which your relationships are not really ones that you are intentional about or you intentionally chose.
Right.
You just came into those circles, and in the will of God, it's all well and good. But a time comes when you have to be intentional about choosing who you walk with and how you walk with them, and so on and so forth, right? So at that point in time, your understanding of where you are headed in life is not what it becomes the filter through which you decide what relationships are beneficial and which ones to discard or to not even venture into. So I cannot necessarily answer in specific terms what relationships will be beneficial to your destiny.
Yeah, but the knowledge of your purpose decides the choice of your relationship.
100%.
Wow, thank you so much for that, sir. So you mentioned covenant relationships at some point. Do you want to tell us more about that? How does it directly relate with destiny actualization?
So there are different kinds of relationships, right? And a covenant relationship is just another type of relationship. But the point I was trying to stress when I was talking about, covenanted relationships is how that while some relationships might be seasonal, some are not. Some are more. Some are for the length of whatever the covenant is. So some relationships are based on covenant, while some relationships are based on, again, shared interest or passions. Nothing on the like we can walk away from each other at some point if it's no longer working. If two no longer agree, we can bounce, right? But the nature of a covenant is kind of like what's the word? The word just keep my mind now. Is more lasting. Is has that longevity to it, and so that's the mindset that I think we need to have where covenant relationships are concerned. That not every relationship is a covenant relationship. But a covenant relationship is a relationship that was founded. It sounds like a circular argument, but just bear with me. That was established upon a covenant. For example, marriage, right? There is a covenant that exists between the husband and the wife. For example, parents and their children. There is there's a sense of covenant to that, right? Yeah.
David and Jonathan, they are perhaps arguably a covenant relationship.
Yes, not arguably. It actually was a covenant relationship because they came into a covenant, right? And there were parameters for that covenant, right? I mean, I don't know if you want to be reading the Bible now to see exactly what the covenant parameters were, but when they came into that covenant, okay, I'm your brother for life, you're my brother for life, based on this, that, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what you're supposed to do. So there were terms and conditions, guarding that covenant relationship. So yeah, at some point in life, you see somebody or you come into a relationship with some person and feel like this person, what we have to do together is not just superficial. It has a depth to it. It has a lifelongedness. Allow me to use that word to it. Yeah, it's not just seasonal. Maybe it's lifelong, and at such point in time, you maybe want to establish it more intentionally, and that's what like a covenant is that level of intentionality to say, let it be known to all parties, the both of us and anybody else that bears to, which is what really we do when we get married. We could as well just meet, I like you, like me, we shake hands, we get into a room, and that's it. But we need to let it be known to the law of the land, to our forebears, to our families, our friends, everybody, that these two people have entered something that has a lifelong component to it, all right, or a component, a long component to it until the terms are broken or the terms are fulfilled, that kind of thing. So I think that's what a covenant relationship really is. It's not just something superficial. It's something that all parties know that this relationship we're coming into, it has such and such and such components to it for this period of time. Maybe it's for life, or for 30 years, or for 40 years. It's like, let me use the idea of renting an apartment. That's not a covenant relationship, but you're entering a legal contract. Yeah. There's a sense of depth and intentionality to it. It's not just, you're not just squatting. You entered somewhere, you put your money on the table, they brought a legal document, you signed that I'm going to be here for 2 years or 3 years. You made, there were terms and conditions. Right. Yeah, so that's.
So for those that want to manifest destiny, do they have to enter into that kind of relationship? Is it a necessity?
I think everybody needs to have relationships that carry a sense of intentionality with respect to the commitments involved. So maybe you don't want to term it covenant relationship if you feel like that's too deep. That's fine.
Intentional.
But there has to be a level of intentionality with respect to the commitments involved, right? So it's not, again, like I said, it's not just something we can wake up and walk away from, because we're thinking destiny, we're thinking life, right? So you realize that, okay, come what may, there might be good days, there might be bad days, which is why, again, I keep referring to marriage, because that's one of like the strongest and most prominent examples of a covenant relationship that everybody can bear witness to. Right? And when we're making our vows, we say stuff like in sickness and in health, in riches and in that's that level of intentionality that we got that day, like we see around here. We're together, through the storms, through the sunshine, through the good, through the bad. Every one of us has to have relationships that there is an intentionality to the level of commitment where that relating is concerned, because it holds us accountable, and accountability is necessary for destiny fulfillment. A man without boundaries is like a city without walls.
Right.
That level of commitment puts boundaries on you. It makes you accountable. You can't just do as you like anymore. There are now people that can hold you to the terms and conditions upon which you enter that relationship, like, so for example, a man comes into a relationship with a woman and says, I'm going to be your provider, I'm going to be all those things that we usually say, and at some point you want to start slacking, but there's somebody else that can hold you and say, well, boy, you said you were going to provide for me, what's going on? So we all need that, because destiny will not fulfill itself. Destiny requires a level of discipline, a level of accountability, a level of intentionality, and that's why we must have intentional relationships, right? So whether you want to call it covenant relationship or not, there must be relationships that you are intentionally committed to. And it's not just you that knows it. The other person, the other party knows it. And if possible, beyond the two of you, you can make noise about it. Or, I don't mean in a social media kind of way that, everybody's now trying to, everything is now content. No, I don't mean that. I mean like just being intentionally committed to something, right?
So there are people who have already grabbed this aspect of relationships by default because they've not yet become intentional about their relationships.
Okay.
But as you said, at some point, people who would manifest destiny must break into that point where they have intentional relationships.
Yeah.
What are the things to look out for in people before you choose them as somebody who you'll be intentional about?
That's a deep question. And it's deep because I think it is people specific. So again, I think this is one of those questions that
are there general values that we can just point out?
Yes. So I will try and pick out a few, but I want to say something regarding what you were saying, that at some point you come to a place where you have to be intentional about relationships. Now, for the person who say, why make it so much about relationships? I think it's about life generally. A time comes in a person's life where you have to take intentional audit. You have to sit down and audit your life. Where am I? Where am I going to? What do I need to get to where I need to go? And so on and so forth. Jesus says if a person wants to build a house, he needs to sit down and count the cost. And relationships, because they are pivotal to destiny fulfillment, right? We need to be able to take audits of the people around us or the people that we need for where we are going to. So the general values I can point out would be things that are generally seen to be upheld as acceptable morally, objectively morally acceptable values and behaviors. Right. Specific destinies will not require maybe specific skill set or specific things, but in terms of, I think kindness is a good thing to look out for. Somebody who is kind, somebody who is loving, somebody who is who is serious about life. Yeah, because you want to be serious about your life, so you need people who are serious about their lives as well, and because they are serious about their lives, they can be serious about your own life, right? People who are people centric, so not just people who are vision driven, because a person can be vision driven and not be people centric, so they will ride over people to get the goal or get the job done at all costs. Well, these are some of the values they can be looking out for. Somebody who loves people. Right. I think those are some of the things, without going into much. Maybe somebody who's audacious, courageous. Yeah.
Wow. So beyond the values discussed in this book, because this book, of course, is the parent of this podcast.
Yeah.
So we discussed prayer, relationships. We discussed audacity. We discussed reading.
Yeah.
So beyond the values discussed in this book, is there anyone that is so pivotal to you that you want to share with people?
When it comes to fulfilling
values,
destiny?
Fulfilling destiny.
You need to value God. Place premium. Value is really like the worth of a thing, right? So you need to place premium on your creator and see yourself as one who is created, not one who can decide what they want to do. Just wake up and no, you have a creator who is intentional about you and created you with a specific goal and vision in mind. So placing value upon a relationship with your creator, I think, is above everything else. The writer, the teacher in Ecclesiastes, at the end of everything he said in Ecclesiastes, came to the end of Ecclesiastes and says to them, above all, fear God, like love God, put God first. So above all, I think that's
Pastor Victor, this has been an insightful conversation.
Thank you.
And I must really say thank you for coming on DPV Podcast.
Thank you
it's such
for
a
having me
privilege,
on DPV Podcast.
Thank you so much, sir.
I hope you invite me again.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, who does not want to drink from this well of wisdom? It's such a privilege. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.